The unwanted gift. The massive hangar of Unity Station, humanity's pride and orbital gateway to the stars, fell eerily silent as Commander Elena Reyes stared at what the Galactic Alliance called a generous gift. Beside her, Chief Engineer David Kwan's usually cheerful face had hardened into a mask of professional neutrality, though she could sense his disappointment. "They can't be serious," Kwan muttered under his breath, walking around a particularly large hole in the hull plating. "This isn't a ship. It's a flying death trap." The vessel before them stretched nearly 400 meters from bow to stern, an ancient cruiser-class ship that had clearly seen better centuries. Its hull was a patchwork of mismatched plates, with exposed wiring hanging from several sections. At least 3 of the 8 propulsion drives appeared completely non-functional, and the bridge module looked like it had survived a direct hit from something large. High Ambassador Vortix of the Galactic Alliance observed from a hovering platform above, his 4 primary eyes blinking in what Elena had learned was the incendiary equivalent of smug satisfaction. "Is our offering not satisfactory, Commander Reyes?" The ambassador's translator rendered his clicks and whistles into smooth, almost musical English. "This vessel has served the Alliance for over 2 centuries. We thought it would be appropriate for humanity's first contribution to our joint defense forces." Elena forced a diplomatic smile. Earth had only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago, making them the newest members of the Galactic Alliance. Many of the elder races viewed humans with barely concealed disdain, unpredictable, primitive creatures who had somehow stumbled into the interstellar community before they were properly evolved. "The Alliance's generosity is appreciated, Ambassador," she replied evenly. "We're honored by this historic vessel." Kwan had already pulled out his tablet and was running preliminary scans. He caught Elena's eye and gave a subtle nod that she learned to interpret over their years working together. There was something here, something the Alliance wasn't seeing. "My engineering team will begin assessment immediately," Elena announced. "We'll need approximately 3 standard months tow." 3 months. Ambassador Vortix's bioluminescent patches flashed in what Elena recognized as amusement. "Commander, the Alliance expected this vessel to be operational within 2 standard weeks for the upcoming joint exercises. Surely your engineers can manage basic repairs in that time frame." Elena felt heat rising to her face, but maintained her composure. "We'll do our best, Ambassador." After the diplomat and his entourage departed, Kwan let out a long, low whistle. "So that's how it is. They give us garbage and expect us to fail publicly." "That's exactly how it is," Elena confirmed, walking toward the derelict ship. "What did your scans show?" For the first time since they'd entered the hangar, Kwan smiled. A real smile that reached his eyes. "They have no idea what they've given us, Commander." Over the next 48 hours, Engineering Bay 7 transformed into a hive of activity. Teams crawled over every centimeter of the alien vessel, running diagnostic tools and cataloging systems. Elena stood in what once served as the command center, now stripped of most of its control interfaces, watching as Kwan directed the operation from a makeshift terminal. "It's fascinating, really," he explained, pulling up holographic schematics. "The Alliance races have evolved along very different technological paths than humanity. Their approach to engineering is specialized, compartmentalized, each system designed by different species with minimal integration. And that's good for us because," Elena prompted, "because it means we can rip out their overly complex systems and replace them with our own." Kwan grinned. "Look at this power core." He brought up an image of a massive spherical chamber deep within the ship. "It's a quantum vacuum energy tap, incredibly advanced, but they're only drawing about 8% of its potential output." "Why so little?" "Because they're using it the way it was designed 200 years ago, with outdated safety protocols and inefficient distribution systems. But the core itself," he shook his head in wonder, "it's practically indestructible. And with our newer unified power grid designs, we could get more out of it," Elena finished. "Not just more, Conservative estimate. We could get 500% increased output, maybe more. Elena studied the schematics, possibilities beginning to form in her mind. What about weapons systems? Stripped clean, Quan replied. They removed everything they thought was valuable. But they left all the power conduits, the targeting system hardpoints, even the ammunition fabrication facilities. They just took the actual weapons and control systems. Quan scrolled through more schematics. And here's the thing. Our kinetic rail technology would integrate perfectly with these hardpoints. Elena walked the perimeter of the bridge, mind racing. What about the hull damage? Mostly cosmetic, responded Lieutenant Sarah Chen, the structural integrity specialist, joining their conversation. The outer hull looks like hell, but the inner pressure hull is a metamaterial alloy we've never seen before. It's self-healing on a molecular level and about 5 times stronger than our best armor composites. They gave us a ship with better armor than anything in our fleet and thought they were giving us junk, Elena mused. Exactly, Quan agreed. They're so fixated on their shiny new toys that they've forgotten what's under the hood. This old girl has bones of steel, or whatever the alien equivalent is. For the first time since seeing the gift, Elena felt a surge of excitement. How quickly can we make it operational? Their way. Quan understood immediately. With minimal repairs to make it look like we're struggling. 2 weeks, just like they asked. But to actually make it combat-ready our way. With a full team working round the clock. 4 weeks minimum. Elena made her decision. You have 3. And Quan, keep the exterior looking exactly as bad as it does now. I don't want our friends in the Alliance to know what we're really doing. Over the next 3 weeks, Unity Station's Engineering Bay 7 operated under strict security protocols. The repair work was officially classified as a training exercise for human engineers to learn Alliance technology. In reality, the ship was undergoing a transformation unlike anything the Alliance could have imagined. While the exterior remained deliberately scared and patched, the interior became a showcase of human ingenuity. The bridge was rebuilt with Earth-designed control systems, rugged, modular, and with multiple redundancies. The weapon systems were replaced with advanced kinetic railguns, gravity lance projectors adapted for mining equipment, and point defense lasers that could track targets at speeds no Alliance vessel could match. The engine system received the most dramatic overhaul. Quan's team boosted the quantum vacuum tap to previously impossible efficiency levels and coupled it with experimental human thrust vectoring technology. The result was a propulsion system that could outmaneuver vessels half its size. Throughout the retrofit, Alliance observers were given carefully orchestrated tours showing human engineers struggling with alien technology. They were shown non-critical systems that had been deliberately left in disrepair and control panels that appeared to be barely functional. 2 days before the deadline, Ambassador Vortix returned for a final inspection. Elena met him at the airlock, her uniform intentionally smudged with grease, dark circles under her eyes from authentic long hours of work. Commander Reyes, the ambassador greeted, his translator failing to hide the undertone of satisfaction in his voice. I trust your team has made progress with our gift. We've done what we can, Ambassador, Elena replied with calculated weariness. The ship will fly, but I must warn you that several systems remain unreliable. We've had to improvise with human technology in some areas. The ambassador's bioluminescent patches pulsed in what Elena now recognized as condescension. Yes, I expected as much. The Alliance Council will be most interested in your creative solutions. The tour that followed was a masterclass in misdirection. Elena led the ambassador through corridors where panels had been deliberately left open, exposing a tangle of wiring. The bridge stations were powered down to minimum levels, with several screens flickering inconsistently. This is your command center, Vortix asked, gesturing to the seemingly haphazard arrangement of human interfaces grafted onto alien technology. We've done our best with limited time and resources, Elena responded humbly. The original systems were beyond our understanding, So we've implemented simplified replacements. The ambassador ran a sensor over what appeared to be a structural support, actually a concealed conduit for the new weapon systems. Quite primitive, he remarked. But I suppose it will function for the exercises. That's our hope, Alina agreed. As they reached the engine room, Quan was waiting, his team performing a carefully rehearsed routine of frustrated troubleshooting on a secondary power junction that had no actual connection to the ship's systems. Ambassador, Quan nodded respectfully. We're just trying to stabilize the power fluctuations. Again. I see, Vortex replied, not bothering to hide his amusement. And the quantum vacuum tap. Operating at 9% efficiency, Quan reported truthfully. They were deliberately limiting its output for the inspection. We haven't been able to improve on the original specifications. The ambassador seemed almost disappointed that they had managed even that much. Well, I suppose that will be sufficient to reach the exercise staging area, though I would recommend keeping your acceleration below 1/4 standard to avoid structural failures. We'll proceed with caution, Alina assured him. After the inspection, as the ambassador's shuttle departed, Alina joined Quan on the observation deck overlooking the transformed vessel. He didn't suspect a thing, Quan said quietly. No, Alina agreed. They see what they expect to see. Have you decided on a name? Quan asked. We can't keep calling it the Gift forever. Helena looked at the scared hull of the ship that would soon become humanity's first true interstellar warship. Its battered exterior concealed power that none of the Alliance races could imagine, born from human determination and the very underestimation their benefactors had shown them. Defiance, she said finally. We'll call her the Defiance. Proving grounds. The Defiance slipped into formation with the Alliance fleet, its scared hull and visible patches standing out starkly against the gleaming perfection of the other vessels. From the command chair, Commander Alina Reyes watched as the Alliance flagship, the illustrious Harmony, grew larger on the main view screen. We're receiving transmission from Fleet Commander Excel Veras, reported Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez from the communication station. On screen, Alina ordered. The image shifted to show the imposing figure of the Praxian Fleet Commander, his crystalline exoskeleton gleaming under the flagship's lights. Commander Reyes, Xelveras' voice rumbled through the translator. Your vessel is out of position by 3 microquads. Please correct immediately and maintain proper formation distance. Apologies, Fleet Commander. Alina responded with practiced humility. Our navigation systems are still being calibrated to Alliance standards. Correcting now. She nodded to her helmsman, who made a show of working with the controls before nudging the Defiance into its designated position, a place at the very rear of the formation, where its unsightly appearance wouldn't disrupt the ceremonial fleet review for the diplomatic delegation. Try to keep up, humans, came a voice over a secondary channel, not the fleet commander, but one of his subordinates, not bothering to hide their disdain. This isn't a garbage scow parade. Alina ignored the barb, maintaining her professional demeanor. Defiance confirms position locked. Fleet Commander. The joint exercises had been underway for 3 days, and so far, the Defiance had performed exactly as everyone expected, sluggishly, with frequent technical difficulties that required them to drop out of complex maneuvers. The Alliance commanders had quickly learned to give the human vessel simple, straightforward assignments well away from the important action. Chief Quan, Alina called over the internal comm once the transmission ended. Status report. Quan's voice came back cheerful and clear. All systems green, Commander. The quantum tap is purring like a kitten at 12% output, plenty for this little parade while keeping our real capabilities hidden. Excellent. Keep me updated if anything changes. The fleet continued its ceremonial patrol through the cellular system, a showcase of Alliance unity and strength for the visiting diplomatic delegation from the Coreward worlds. The Defiance maintained its position at the rear, playing its assigned role of the struggling newcomer. Commander, Rodriguez called suddenly, her voice tense. I'm picking up unusual readings at the edge of the system. multiple signatures dropping out of FTL. Elena straightened in her command chair. Alliance vessels. Negative. Configuration unknown, but they're not broadcasting Alliance identification. Alert the fleet commander, Elena ordered, then turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Park, analysis. Park studied her displays with concern. 23 vessels, combat configuration. Energy signatures suggest heavy weapons charging. They're accelerating toward the diplomatic station. Before Elena could respond, Fleet Commander Ixel Veras appeared on the main screen, his crystalline features set in what humans had learned was an expression of concern. All vessels, we have unidentified craft approaching the diplomatic station. This is not part of the exercise. Alliance combat protocol is now in effect. Primary battle group will form defensive perimeter. Secondary vessels. His eyes briefly flicked toward what was presumably the Defiance on his display. Maintain distance and provide communication relay support. In other words, Elena thought, stay out of the way. Acknowledged Fleet Commander, she replied. But as soon as the transmission ended, she turned to her crew. Battle stations. Full tactical assessment. Let's see what we're dealing with. The bridge transformed instantly from its deliberately disorganized appearance to a model of efficiency. Hidden panels slid away, revealing advanced targeting systems and weapon controls. Screens shifted to display real-time analytics of the approaching vessels. I've got a match, Park announced. Syntherian raiders. They've hit 3 Alliance outposts in the past solar year. Highly advanced tech, brutal tactics. The Alliance fleet is forming up, Rodriguez reported. But the diplomatic station is between them and the raiders. They won't be able to establish a defensive line in time. Elena studied the tactical display, calculating angles and response times. How long until the raiders are in range of the diplomatic station? 4 minutes, 17 seconds at current acceleration, Park replied. And the Alliance fleet. Their lead vessels will intercept in 5 minutes, 10 seconds. They won't make it. Elena made her decision. Helm, plot intercept course for the Raider Vanguard. Engineering, bring power to full combat status. Commander, Quan's voice came over the comm, excitement evident. Say the word and you'll have full power. The word is given, Chief. Show me what the Defiance can really do. Throughout the ship, systems that had been deliberately dampened surged to life. The quantum vacuum tap spun up to 85% efficiency, channeling energy through human-designed conduits that the original Alliance engineers would have considered impossible. The engines, hybrid creations of Alliance technology and human ingenuity, ignited with a force that pushed the crew into their acceleration chairs. Alliance flagship is hailing us, Rodriguez reported. They're ordering us to maintain position. Acknowledge the transmission, Elena ordered, but inform them we're experiencing control system malfunctions due to power surges. We're attempting to stabilize. She turned to her helmsman. Take us in, maximum acceleration. The Defiance leaped forward, accelerating at a rate that would have torn a standard Alliance vessel apart. Across the fleet, sensor operators stared at their readings in disbelief as the supposedly crippled human ship outpaced their fastest escorts. We'll reach intercept in 50 seconds, the helmsman reported. Tactical, status of weapons systems. Kinetic rail batteries charged and ready, Park confirmed. Point defense grid online. Gravity lance projectors spinning up. Communications, broadcast on all frequencies, including those used by the raiders, Elena ordered. This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth vessel Defiance. Unidentified vessels approaching Xylar diplomatic station. Power down your weapons and reverse course immediately. The only response was a barrage of energy weapons fire as the lead raider vessels detected the approaching threat. Beams of concentrated plasma streaked toward the Defiance. Evasive pattern Delta, Elena ordered calmly. The massive ship pivoted with impossible agility, the energy beams grazing its scared hull without penetrating the metamaterial armor beneath. The crew of the diplomatic station watched in astonishment as the battered vessel they dismissed as space junk performed maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship twice its size. "We're in range," Park announced. Raiders continuing approach to diplomatic station. "Target lead vessels, kinetic batteries. Fire when ready." The Defiance shuddered slightly as its main weapons, disguised as cargo loading equipment, deployed from what had appeared to be damaged hull sections. The rail guns fired, accelerating projectiles to a fraction of light speed. There was no beam, no energy signature that Alliance sensors could easily track, just solid metal moving at devastating velocity. The first Raider vessel's shields flared brilliantly as they tried to stop the incoming rounds. They failed spectacularly. The kinetic projectiles punched through, tearing into the ship's propulsion systems. Secondary explosions bloomed along its hull as it tumbled out of formation. "Direct hit," Park reported. "One vessel disabled. Raiders adjusting formation, attempting to bracket us. They're targeting our engines," Rodriguez added. "They think we're a standard Alliance design." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Let them try. Helm, bring us about. Engineering, divert power to the gravity lance projectors." The Raiders had split their forces now, half continuing toward the diplomatic station, while the others moved to engage the Defiance. Energy weapons lashed out, scoring hits along the human vessel's hull. "Minimal damage," Quan reported from engineering. "Their weapons are designed to overwhelm energy shields. Against our hull material, they're just making pretty light shows." "Gravity lances charge," Park announced. "Target the group heading for the station," Elena ordered. "Wide dispersal pattern." The weapons, adapted from human mining technology used to fracture asteroids, fired. Invisible waves of gravitational distortion spread outward, catching the Raider vessels in their field. Alarms sounded throughout the Raider fleet as their artificial gravity systems went haywire, and their drive systems struggled against the suddenly distorted space around them. "Raiders are losing formation," Park reported with satisfaction. "Their acceleration has dropped by 70%. Alliance fleet is approaching," Rodriguez added. "Fleet Commander Ixel Veres is demanding an explanation for our reckless behavior." "Tell him we'll be happy to explain after we secured the diplomatic station," Elena replied. "Helm, bring us between the Raiders and their target. Tactical, prepare all weapons for synchronized barrage." The Defiance moved into position, its once ridiculed patchwork hull now forming an impenetrable barrier between the Raiders and their objective. As the Alliance fleet approached from the opposite direction, the Raiders found themselves caught between two forces. "Raiders breaking off attack," Park announced. "3 vessels attempting to enter FTL." "Not today," Elena said firmly. "Activate gravity anchor." Another system that the humans had integrated into the ship, this one designed to stabilize space during mining operations, created a localized distortion that temporarily prevented FTL jumps within its radius. The fleeing vessels suddenly found themselves unable to escape. "Alliance vessels are engaging the remaining Raiders," Rodriguez reported. "Fleet Commander Ixel Veres is hailing us again." On screen, Elena ordered. The Praxian commander's crystalline features were arranged in what Elena recognized as shock. "Commander Reyes," he began, his translator struggling to convey his mixture of emotions. "Your vessel just... How did you... What exactly have you done to that ship?" Elena maintained her professional demeanor. "Simply made some modest improvements, Fleet Commander." The Defiance performed exactly as expected. "Expected by whom?" Ixel Veres demanded. "That vessel was a decommissioned cruiser, barely capable of maintaining standard propulsion." "With respect, Fleet Commander," Elena replied, "perhaps the Alliance should reconsider what constitutes barely capable when it comes to human engineering." In the hours that followed, as the Alliance secured the remaining Raider vessels and evacuated the diplomatic station as a precaution, the Defiance became the center of unwanted attention. Alliance engineers requested permission to inspect the modifications, which Elena politely but firmly declined, citing proprietary human technology. The diplomatic delegation, having witnessed the entire engagement from the station, requested a special tour of the vessel that had saved their lives. Elena provided one, carefully managing what they were allowed to see while making it clear that humanity was a more capable ally than many had assumed. 3 days later, Elena stood in the observation lounge of Unity Station alongside Admiral Chen, Earth's representative to the Alliance Defense Council. On the display before them, footage of the Defiance's battle with the Raiders played on repeat, analyzed frame by Earth's military leadership. "You've caused quite a stir, Commander," Admiral Chen said, though her tone suggested this wasn't entirely a criticism. "The Alliance Council is formally requesting information on how a primitive species managed to transform their castoff into something that outperformed their frontline vessels." "What will you tell them, Admiral?" Chen smiled thinly. "That human ingenuity is not to be underestimated. That perhaps next time, they should be more careful about what they discard." She paused the footage at the moment the Defiance executed its impossible turn to avoid the Raiders' energy weapons. The Alliance races have become complacent, Reyes. They've specialized so much that they've forgotten how to adapt, how to see the potential in the old while they chase the new. Elena nodded. "What happens now?" "Now." Chen's smile widened. "Now humanity has the Alliance's full attention. They've approved funding for a joint engineering initiative, with humans taking the lead. And they're offering us access to their shipyards, their technical databases, resources they were reluctant to share before. All because we turned their insult into an asset." "Precisely." Chen turned from the display to look directly at Elena. "The Defiance will be the first of many, Commander. You've proven that humanity doesn't just belong among the stars. We might be exactly what the Alliance needs." As Elena left the meeting, she passed a viewport overlooking the main docking area. There, its battle-scarred hull now a badge of honor rather than a mark of shame, the Defiance waited. No longer an unwanted gift, but a symbol of humanity's greatest strength. The ability to take what others discarded and transform it into something extraordinary. They had given humanity trash. Humanity had turned it into the most dangerous ship in the galaxy. And the galaxy would never be the same.